Welcome all. It's Raymond here for Canuck Air Simulations. Today, as you saw in the title, we are going to be talking about the global lighting package. You're going to see me refer over to the side here, which is my notes. Most people are going to know that already, but for those that don't, my notes are down there. So today we're going to talk about global lighting. It's called Global Airport Lighting V5, and then there's another iteration of that called Global Airport Lighting Small V5. The small is all small GA airports, approximately 9,500 airports around the world that have lighting. In general, if there is a parking spot, and or if there's a fuel parking spot, right? So it doesn't have to necessarily just be a parking spot, but if there's a fuel parking spot and or a ramp parking spot, and doesn't fit the criteria of a large and medium airport, it will be in the small package. If it fits the criteria of large and medium airports, I'm going to try to break that down a little bit more, but if it fits into the large and medium package, then it's been separated. So I'm gonna kind of explain the package a little bit, and then I'm gonna go into discussing, first of all, why is there two lighting packages? Well, the long and the short of it is that there are two lighting packages because of the in-depth process that gets used in order to create them. And they're structured on two different sets of logic. Actually, the truth be known, they're actually structured on four different sets of logic. And the logic which is used in the large and medium airports, which is three different versions of logic in there, and in the small, there's one set of logic in there. And those four different logics cannot commingle themselves together. And then the second thing is not so much the sheer size of the airport package itself, but the sheer number of airport lighting and the sheer number of assets. So there is, as I said, there's about 9,500 airports in the small package, and each of those airports on average consists of about between 5 and 6 lights per. So 9,500 times 5 or 6 gives you the total amount of assets that are being added into the world. Now, on the other side, which is the large and medium airports, those on average have somewhere in a neighborhood of 50 assets times just over 5,400 airports. You get the math. There's a lot of different assets. And join those two groups together, it is at this point becoming a bit of an overwhelming package. And so they've been separated for that reason. The other reason they've been separated, I'm just gonna put this up here quickly so we can kind of look at just bear with me. I had it up and then of course I took it down. So in the global package, I'm almost there. Right. So I'm going to show you the global package. Bear with me. Where is... There. Click. So it may be hard for you to see. I apologize if you can't quite see it. But what we're seeing here is inside my community folder, and there is the package down there. Okay, and it's called Global Airport Lighting V5. Okay. The package is this. And the reason why it'll come clear why I'm going through this with you all. But if we go into the scenery, we can see all 7 of the continents. Now, why we've packaged this package this way is because there are a lot of airports out there that people have designed and developed that actually have, have some lighting. For example, if you've gone and purchased a complete airport. Memphis is one, for example, that I know. It's really well done. There's some really nice airport lighting all over the place already. It looks really, really good. And so we don't need to go ahead and put lighting there. So what we're doing here is we're allowing you the option to decide whether or not you want to incorporate the entirety of the lighting package. Maybe you want to remove 5 or 10 airports from the lighting package. Maybe you want to remove 100 airports from the lighting package because you have your own built-in scenery, but all the other airports you don't. You want that lighting to be there. Well, that's what this allows us to actually do. So what we do is, without being able to come up with a better system at this point, I am working on a more automated system. But right now, let's presume you happen to have said Memphis scenery and you don't want it here. You don't want my lighting package to interfere with the Memphis scenery package. So you go to NA, which is North America. You go into the scenery. You go into NA again, which is also North America, and you will see every airport that has lighting inside of North America, some 1,400-ish airports, I believe it is. If you were to go up here and type MEM, you would see Memphis. And all you actually really need to do is rename that. Please don't delete it, because if you ever decide to put it back, it will be gone. Now, you could delete it. That would be one function. But really, all you need to do is just type in -old or any naming convention you would like to use. And that will then omit the Memphis airport, Memphis airport lighting from the Memphis airport, allowing you to continue to use your purchased airport lighting. Okay? So this was a feature, this was a function that needed to be added into the lighting package, because I know there's a lot of airports around the world that some people will have. Like, you know, Joe might have 4 or 5 and Fred might have 4 or 5 different ones and so forth, and they all want to omit the ones that they actually have but keep everything else in. So this is the reason why Global Airport Lighting V5, which is large and medium airports, was done this way, so that you would be able to come here and omit those things. Okay. Likewise, if we come to the website connectairsimulations.com, if we go into resources and we pick on global lighting, there is a utility in here that allows you to see all of the airports that actually have Connect Air Simulations lighting in them. And so here in the large and medium airports, there's 5,174 airports. Okay. If you click on this and go to small airports, you will note that it changes. Oh, I thought it was 9,500. I apologize. It's 8,935. And so now you will see all of the airports with the small. Now let's talk briefly about the small and why in the small we didn't do it this way. Now, should there become a need to do it, it can be done, but it becomes a bit, not overwhelming, but it becomes a more taxation on both your system as well as the development of it. But it doesn't mean that it can't be done, because it can be, if the community wants to have it like that, where they can decide which ones to have the airport lighting in it or not, we can do it that way. It just wasn't done that way. And here's the main reason why it wasn't done that way. The vast majority of small airports that this lighting package lights up, there is very few of those airports that other developers, myself included, have actually created custom airports for it and created custom lighting for those said airports. And so because of that, it was decided not to do it in the same fashion. So that's one of the reasons why there has to be 2 individual packages. I hope you can understand why we've had to do that. On both of the packages, just a little bit of a marketing if you bear with me, on both of the packages you will see a link here. So if you come to the website, come here, you can click on the link, and that link will then take you to where you can purchase said package from. Okay? So that's kind of the whole idea behind that. The biggest idea behind that is which airports have lighting, which airports don't have lighting. Similar to my heliport world, airport world, I'm trying very hard to make sure that we have some kind of avenue for you, the customer, to see what all has been affected by the package, and is said airport actually affected. So for example, if we type in here CKK7, is this airport affected, or does this airport have lighting in it in the small area? So we click on search, and indeed you can see there's a little pin right there, and you can see that it actually does have lighting on it, because that pin actually tells you that there's lighting on that particular airport. Okay, so, and likewise you can go to large and medium size airports and it'll switch back over, and here you can type in KONT, for example, and search. And if we go back out and we look, there indeed it does have at Ontario International Airport, there is lighting. If I were to switch this over to small airport, refresh, and then type in KONT under the small heading of airports and search, we'll see it doesn't exist. And that is again because KONT is considered a medium/large airport. It doesn't have lighting on there based on the small airport criteria, search criteria. So that covers that. That covers, I've covered the how to get rid of certain airports. I've also covered that if the community finds it necessary to have those 9,000 airports, whatever it was, broken out in the same fashion that we did the large and medium airports, so that you can manipulate that and say, no, I don't want this one, and I don't want this one, and I don't want this one because I've got scenery and I've got, you know what I mean? Please, in the comment section, let me know. We will add that into the package of all of it. So now, let's talk about what is Global Lighting V5 and the 4 different logics that I talked about. I'm going to first discuss the logics within the medium and large package, and then I'll discuss the small logic that was put into there. In both cases, and I've brought you to this particular airport for a very specific reason. So the previous package, the way it was calculated out was, there is a parking space here. Well, let me get rid of that out of your viewpoint. Let me get rid. So there's a parking space. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to try to zoom in just a bit more. So right here, there is a parking space to be considered right here. Okay. Now that parking space has a known center. Okay, and so the logic that I'm using, I was using the logic that said, okay, here's a center. Go ahead and place the light in the center, and then move it out X number of feet, meters, inches, whatever, in this direction, and then place the light. And it did this. In some airports, it did it really, really bad. In other airports, not as bad, but still, it wasn't anywhere near as accurate. Okay. There is no way for me to understand, or there is no way that I've seen right now to know the exact coordinates of this building. However, there is a way to know where this line is. I hope I'm not getting too deep into the weeds, but I want to make it clear as to why the logic is better in this package. And visually, at this airport, you don't necessarily see the logic as being better. But indeed it is, because at this airport, this light was placed over here, meaning the wings would hit it. One of the reasons why this is placed in here is because the end point is right there, and we have to have a reasonable distance between here and here, and therefore that puts it into the building. But the algorithm that's actually being used to do that doesn't know the building is there. It just knows to put the light there. Okay. I'm going to try not to get too far deep into the weeds again, because I am going too deep in. Suffices to say, what we've done is we've created this logic that says, go ahead, don't look for the center of the parking space, because a large gate versus a small gate versus a medium gate, all of those spaces are going to be different. And if you use one set of logic for all of it, then what you end up having is you end up having lights all staggered and placed all over the place. Note that the lights are all placed neatly in a line. Note that they're all placed in line with the yellow here. And that's because we use the logic of saying, here, we know where that point is, and move it from here out a certain distance. In this case, it's gotten into the buildings. I'm going to show you a place where it actually hasn't gotten into the buildings. So over here, you see that because of the distance between here and here, there is enough distance that the lighting didn't go inside the building. We are working on another set of logic, and there will be another iteration, it'll likely be called V6, and those updates, as always, will be free. You won't pay for any of these updates, but just so you know, we are working on a more refined logic. The reason why, you might say to yourself, well, then why are you releasing it now? It's being released now because it corrects a lot of things and makes a lot of things look a lot better than what V3 actually looks like. So we're releasing it now, and we're going to continue to work on the package so that so that you guys will have the benefit of these lights now, okay? So in the large and medium airport lighting, the next thing that we're going to talk about is there is small lighting and ramp lighting logic in here as well, okay? So one of the problems that we actually had is if we go over to, I'm just going to zoom over there quickly, as quick as I can. So one of the problems that we had, and this is a prime example of this airport as being the problem. This airport, if we look down there, it's hard to see it, but you can see all of the opposing parking spots. And those that have V3, what you're actually seeing is you're actually seeing a light here, 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 a light here. And that is because the logic for medium and large airports used the same logic that was being used over at the gates. And then it would just be placing lights all over the place. And it, so much so you could see there's probably in excess of 100 here. And if you have V3 right now and you come to this airport PHNL, I believe it is. It's in Hawaii. But if you come out to this airport, what you're going to actually see is those lights that I'm telling you about. You can't even park at the ramp. And this is the secondary reason why we're releasing V5 now, because you can't use this ramp. So you will get this package, you will remove your old package, put the new package in for the large and medium airports if you've purchased that, and put that in, and those lighting will go away, and the lighting will look more like this. So this lighting logic actually reads and looks at taxiways, it reads and looks at parking spots, and all these other parking spots, and it says, okay, if there is a taxiway, if there is a parking spot, and if that taxiway and parking spot are within 50 feet, I think it's 50 feet of the parking spot, don't put a light there. Just don't put one. And that's why we'll see a light here and a light here, and we're going to see all this perimeter lighting. So it's not perfect, but there is lighting to show you the ramp parking. The lighting that is over here, this follows the third set of logic. Okay, so we had the first set of logic over there at the gates. This now follows the third set of logic. And the third set of logic is for ramp, large ramp, and medium ramp. What that does is it picks the given spot, and it's similar to the gate logic, but it picks the given spot because we know the given spot, not the center of the parking spot, right? But it picks the given spot where you're supposed to stop, and it analyzes, is this a large ramp? If it is a large ramp, then place the lighting at this distance away. Okay? If it's a small ramp or a medium ramp, then change the distance accordingly. So it's attempting to be more intuitive, more intelligent as to where it's placing the lighting. And again, if you pull back and you look at the lighting, it looks considerably more accurate. So V6, the up-and-coming version of V6, we will be endeavoring to even make the logic even smarter and make it even more intuitive. But we will also be endeavoring to start utilizing different lighting assets. And that's the reason why I say we intend to make it smarter and more intuitive or intelligent. because we're going to start saying, you know, for example, we're going to start saying, well, do we really need to have these really super high light intensity lights in small ramp area? Should we have, you know, maybe different lights that are shaped differently based on different scenarios? Should we have different lights? So that's the whole premise of what one of the premises of V6 is going to be. Is it's going to be changing and making the logic of the lighting and where the lighting is placed be more intelligent. And then it's also going to be utilizing, right now we have for the medium and large lighting, they're all using the same type of light. And there is a reason for it, because I haven't developed the logic to allow me to strategically make decisions to place different lighting. I can say, hey, if it's a medium ramp, then use this light. If it's a large gate, use that light. If it's this, I'll use that light. I can do that, but I want to do that with a certain rationalization behind it, right? You might go to an airport that is large ramp and only large ramp. There's no gates. It's a medium-sized airport by the definition, but there's only large ramps. Now, do we want to say only ramps get, you know, a smaller light, or do we want, in that case, if there is no gates, but it is a major cargo hub, then we want to have different lighting. If it's a medium passenger terminal, but, you know, no gates or maybe only small gates, we want to have maybe different lighting. So I hope I'm kind of illustrating what I'm trying to accomplish here in terms of the lighting. And at the end of the day, the whole goal here is to continue to work through this lighting package to make it better, more realistic, make it more intuitive, and just to prove upon the package, to make the package at the end of the day, in a perfect world, whether we'll get there or not, is to be able to emulate each airport as it actually is. I think that's a very, very broad ask, and I don't know that we'll ever actually achieve that. Microsoft themselves haven't achieved that kind of stuff. In fact, Microsoft, to be honest with you, they don't have any lighting at the airports. Why, I don't know, but they don't, and that's what spurred this on. Okay, enough of that. I've gone through the website, I've gone through the data, why we do it, I've explained why we have two packages. Again, if anybody wants to have a more detailed description because they understand the stuff a little bit better, comment section, I'm happy to answer any questions as best as I can. I want to reiterate that if you've already purchased the medium and large airport lighting package, you will get a free upgrade. If you're struggling with getting it off of Sim Marketplace, because that's where all the packages are listed, if you're struggling with that, in the comment section, let me know that, and I will ensure that you get your free upgrade. I don't want to say that every package that we will ever produce will always have a free upgrade, but I want to be clear and transparent. I don't believe, as the head of Canuck Air Simulations, I don't believe the community should have to pay. You buy it once, and you should be able to use it. Now, granted, there may be circumstances where that can't be, but I'm going to do everything within my power to ensure that when you buy a Canuck Air package, that Canuck Air package is supported as long as feasibly possible. Right? We don't want to say indefinite because we don't know what the next sim is. We don't know, what it's all going to be about. We have no idea. Just like we didn't know that FSX was going to be around for whatever it was, 15 or 20 years or whatever it was. We didn't know it was going to be like that when it first came out, but here we are. All right. Let's do a quick recap, wrap up, and then we'll shut it down. So global airport lighting V5, actually, let me just add one more thing before we wrap up. I apologize. I just thought of something that I wanted to get out in the video. Whenever you get a package, whenever you get a new package, whenever you when you get a new update from Canuck Air Simulations, please acknowledge and know that you should go to your community folder and delete the existing package. It is something that I've been trying to work on kind of behind the scenes when time is available, which is very little, but when it is, I've been trying to find a way to kind of strategically plan this out so that we can have one Canuck Air Simulations folder and that all of the stuff just goes into there, right? And that the naming never changes, it's always the same. But at the same time, I utilize Global Airport Lighting V5 as the acknowledgement that that's my next update. And that's how I keep it all together. That's how I know, which package I'm working on, which update I'm working on. It helps me to keep track of it all. In a perfect world, we would drop the V5 and it would just be Global Airport Lighting, and that's all it would ever be is Global Airport Lighting, and that would be the large and medium airport lighting, and then so on and so on for every package. That way you could just put it over and it would just overwrite existing stuff. But I haven't found a way to consistently do it without interfering in development or dev time. So I will be working on that, and at some point I will have a system where it makes it easier. But for now, if you get a new package, if you get a new update, please look in your community folder, whether it be 2020 folder, whether it be 2024 folder, but please look in there and see if you have that package in there already. And if you do, please delete it. And make sure it is actually deleted before you put the new one in. If not, it can create, not all that it will, but it can create problems because there are two different naming packages. So for example, Global Airport Lighting V3 versus V5, those are two individual packages. If you leave them both in there, you're going to have double the sets of lights. That's all it's going to do, is it's going to create two sets of lights at every airport. Okay, and it's going to look stupid. So please go ahead and delete. All right, recap. We have V5 out as the video description is pointed out. We know what V5 actually is. It's got more intelligent logic. There's four different logics that are being utilized in the V5 package for both the large and medium package as well as the small package. We know that we used more intelligent logic to place the lighting, more accurate ways of placing the lighting. We also know that some of the lighting is sitting in buildings, and that is because we can't control where the Black Shark AI places those buildings. All we know is where the parking pad is, and we know where the stop line is for the aircraft, and we're utilizing that stop line with some algorithm to make decisions where to place the light. And the algorithm doesn't know where the building is because the algorithm can't be told where the building is. Okay? We know what it is, right? We got these two packages. We understand that through this website we can search and see all of the different airports that have lighting. We can search individual ICO codes. We know that it's large and medium, and we also know there's a small version of it. We know the amount of airports that have lighting in it. We know that small airports have an approximate on average between 5 and 10 lights at each airport. Now there are some that are smaller, of course, and there are some that are even a little bit bigger. And so we know that there's a lot of lights, some 9,000 airports. If it's by 10, you can see the math. There's a lot of lights in that package. And we also know that in the large and medium, we got 5,174 airports that have got lights in it, and those averages are around 50 lights per package. So 50 times 5,100, you can do the math. That's how many lights that Canuck Air Simulations Airport Lighting V5 has placed in for that package. Okay, so there's a lot of lights in the world right now. That's the website. We know that if we have an airport that we don't want, because we already have custom scenery, that's no problem. We can go into our community folder. We can look for global lighting. We can go into scenery. We can pick the continent in which we're dealing with. So for example, Europe, and we can say, okay, I have this airport lighting, and we can just right click on it and rename it, put a dash in here, and you can use whatever you want. You can say, hey, remove, you can, whatever word you want to use. It doesn't matter the word you use. The minute you change that name in any shape or form, that ICO code will no longer have lights. Now, of course, you'll have to restart your sim, right? Or get out of the sim, do this, and then get back into sim, and then that airport's lights they'll be 86th. We've discussed how we're looking for a smarter way of doing that. We have some ideas on how we're going to do that. It's going to take a bit more time, and I look at what is the priority of things. I look at and say, okay, would the group benefit more so if I found a way to make it more benefit, or make it easier to remove airports out that they don't want? Would they benefit from that more, or would they benefit more from the logic changing and the light placements and the visual part of that? Where would they benefit more? And then, of course, I make decisions. I believe that the community would benefit better by spending the time on getting the lights placed better. Okay, so we keep adding these things into the list of things that we want to do, and as we get more and more of these crucial things fixed and changed, we will then start looking at less crucial things, and that might be where this gets added. Likewise, if there's an airport, both in the small package or in the large and medium package, in either one of the packages, if there's an airport that it does not exist in there that you would like it to exist, to have lighting, let me know. I'm not going to redo the package and create a new update for one airport. But if we run across a number of airports where we have that problem, and I'm not sure what that number will be, but we get a certain number of airports where I look at it and go, hey, wait a minute, there's a lot of airports people want done. I'll release an update for it. And then those airports will have lights. Know that there is probably a reason if they don't have lights. There probably is a reason why they don't have lights, okay? And so just because you say, hey, airport XYZ 27 whatever doesn't have lights, well, it may not actually have lights because there may not actually be actual parking spots. And if there is no parking spots, it won't put lights. If there's no gate, there's no ramp, there's no GA, small, medium, large ramp, there's no fuel parking spot, if there's none of that, it won't put them in. And so just know that if you give me a list of airports that you want to have this to be done with, if there are no parking spots, I'm not capable of putting that within the package. That then requires to be an actual airport, like a manual airport creation, which I'm not opposed to doing as well, because I've got some of those too. So just put them in the comments list. Okay. I hope that's got you up to speed. I hope that's that you guys are happy with the package and all of the other stuff that we're producing. Always comment section if there's questions, concerns, requests, all of that in the comment section. Give us a like on the video if you like it. Give us a you don't like it if you don't like it. But if you give us a you don't like it, please do me the courtesy of telling me why constructively in a comment. Because I'm happy to hear that too, because that just helps me and as a developer kind of grow and learn, what is the community seeking? What am I missing within the community? What can I do to make these things better? How can I make them better? And I can't do that unless I hear it from the community. All right, Raymond, for Canuck Air Simulations, I hope it's been intuitive. I hope it's been insightful. I hope you're loving the stuff. And until the next one, we will be, just as a bit of a teaser, we will be revamping. We're in the midst of revamping. Hang on. I want to show this to you before as we part. We are in the midst of revamping Airport World. Airport World was one of the very first projects, not the first projects, but one of the very first projects. And I have found a better way of creating missing airports and a more accurate way of creating missing airports. Now, it's not to say that the system isn't fairly accurate, because it is, but I found a way to make it more accurate. And I found a way to make runways become more accurately placed. I found a way to say, hey, you know, if ICO code 00L exists, but then there's also an ICO code K00L. One is an actual ICO code and the other is an ATA code. Well, the initial logic didn't understand that. And so it would look through and say, hey, there is no 00L, therefore place one. Meanwhile, there was a K00L, and now we've got two airports stacked one on top of the other. So I've found a logic to get that fixed, so stay tuned for that update. That update will be coming. It will be called, I believe, Airport World V2. I believe, don't quote me on that, but I believe that will be what it is. And that will be coming out. And then there is yet one more exciting bit of news. I'm going to leave it on a bit of a teaser for you guys, but just know that the world is going to get better. And that will be for you guys to think about what I'm talking about. But there's a new package that we're working on. Our development team, that guy, is working on a new package to make the world better, both in 2020 and in 2024. And there will be some announcements of this coming out. I'm hopeful to actually announce it. I'm holding back on the announcement of it and what it actually is purposely, because I haven't cemented the logic and algorithm that's going to be used to actually be able to do the project. I have the project mostly done, and I think I can get it done. I think I can do it, but I rather not tell you what it is and then be disappointed later on when I'm actually not able to actually produce the project at this time. So I'm hoping in the next coming weeks, hopefully by the end of the month, I might be able to share what it is. Maybe sooner. We'll see. Anyways, Raymond, Canuck Air Simulations, I appreciate your time. And that's it for me. It's been a bit of a long one, and I apologize for those that had to stick through it all, but hopefully you guys got all the information that you're looking for. All right, bye-bye now.